Hello, I'm James Henry. I'm a full-time scriptwriter based in Penryn. I've been full-time for about 10 years. I started off writing Bob the Builder and Smack the Pony. Became full-time just after that with Green Wing, which is a Channel 4 comedy show. Developed various post-Green Wing things. Campus was one, and me and one of the Green Wing writers have just finished Delivery Man, which is an ITV sitcom, which is going out at the moment. And I've written various kids shows, written for Hey Dougie and kept going with Bob the Builder, and an ITV thing called Canimals, and lots of little sort of animation things, which I like doing as well as comedy. So that's where I am at the moment.
Which bone is it?
That's not the question you asked.
Yes, it is.
No, you said, what's this?
Yes, well, I meant, what bone is this?
Dunno.
Well, then I suggest you don't waste people's time by raising your nipple hands to ask a question answer that you have no idea about.
My inspiration for writing. I think the inspiration is to try and write stuff that I want to see on television, which sounds a bit trite, but there's not that much stuff that I like on telly, so I'm just trying to put out there stuff that I would watch myself. So the inspiration, often when you start out, the inspiration is to write better than stuff that's out there. I think the drive to keep going is to find stuff that's really good and try and write something that's as good as that, something that's as good as Spaced or West Wing, or some of the really good bits of True Detective or something like that. And I think that's where you have to be later on in your career. You have to try and strive to get as good as the really, really good stuff, not just be better than the crap stuff. Yeah, so being based in Cornwall is a bit of a challenge because I have family down. I moved back down here from here originally, so I moved back down here. And I have a young family. And it is difficult. It's not such a big deal with drama, because if you're writing a drama project, you really just meet with the producers every 2 or 3 months or something, and then you just go home and get on with it. So it's fine. It's different when something goes into production. If you can be there, that's a bonus. Comedy is much more organic, and I've had to turn down a couple of jobs recently because I'd need to be up in London the whole time to be available for the process of improvisation and workshopping and that kind of thing. So I have had to drop away from comedy a bit, which is quite surprising. Delivery Man kind of happened because I was just at that point of going, I'm not sure I can do comedy practically. So what I tend to do is go up to London about twice a month I'll go up to London on the sleeper, pack in 2 days and come back on the sleeper again. So it's quite intensive, but it's nice. I think it works really well because I think I have a slightly more distinctive voice from not being in London, because a lot of writers are based in London, and you can end up just sounding the same as everyone else and writing about the same things as everyone else, whereas I do have a slightly different take on things, I think. And when I've written about Cornwall, it has its own... I know the way people speak down here, having grown up here. And I know the locations, and I know the sort of conflicts, and I can write more confidently about, being down here, which not many people can. I think most people write about West Country and Cornwall sort of outside its perspective, or a romanticised perspective. So I like writing about being down here from the point of view of someone who hasn't necessarily got a second home down here, I guess. But it does close down some pathways, I guess. So it does make comedy much harder to write. Ideally, get a sitcom going down here, which is my plan. That would be great. So if I can get that off the ground, that will make life a lot easier. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, TV has a lot more stability. Well, I assume TV has a lot more stability than working in Hollywood. I've never worked in Hollywood, so it would be slightly disingenuous of me to pretend I have. But there's more... Yeah, I think it is more stable. I think there's more work of a more lasting nature, because you spend so much time. I know people who've gone over to Hollywood, they spend so much time creating stuff that just doesn't get made, which happens in television as well. But I think you're just in with more of a shot in TV. I think it's just a little bit more room for you to kind of get your own, because television's a writer's medium and films are a director's medium, essentially. It's as simple as that, I think. So the BBC would be very unlikely to dump a writer at the last minute and get someone else in to finish off a series, which happens with films all the time. I know John Cleese said the development process in Hollywood is like trying to bring a script to life. It's like trying to cook a steak by bringing a succession of people in to breathe on it. And I think that is what it's like. They'll just throw more and more writers at a script, and I hope that makes it better. Whereas with television, it's a little bit more. You've got more room to do your own thing and see the project through, which I think is important. So I think there's much less snobbishness about working between film and television. Although there is a lot more money for writing features if you go in at a certain level. So I can understand why people might head over that way. That's absolutely fine. I'm not judging them. I'm judging them a bit. I want to do features. I'd like to. I mean, I write a lot of features scripts on spec, or I used to, but it's such a painful world of trying to get things made original. I'm more interested in writing original things, really doing adaptations, I guess. And most feature writing is adapting other people's stuff, which can be great, depends on the material. I just enjoy writing and coming up with my own kind of worlds and characters. So at the moment, that's easier to do in telly. But if I got asked to do the right feature thing that I thought I'd be good at, and I'd absolutely be up for that. I do find telly more creatively rewarding at the moment. I think it's probably more fun to be had. Whereas writing features is a bit high stakes, high pressure, and then you can be dropped at any moment. I think that's really it. Is that with television probably strokes the ego a bit more for writers, whereas with features you are just a sort of cog in the system. I think so. Maybe it's just vanity more than anything else. I don't know.
An official welcome to the hairiest midwife in the hospital.
Catch. Was in this outfit. Genius. Built a lot of your tights.
Mrs. Price, 32 weeks.
I'm not pregnant.
No, obviously not.
I think it's not fair. Should fit in quite well.
Go home?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too, very soon. Not your home, obviously.
Newborn comedy about one guy's midwife crisis.
And breathe.
The Delivery Man starts tonight at 9:30 on ITV.
What's my dream next step in my career? I would like to have sole credits on something. So with Smack the Pony, I was one of a team of about 30 writers. And Green Wing, one of 7. And Delivery Man, one of 2. So it'd be quite nice to keep that progression going and just something it is just me. I mean, telly's never just you, because there's always producers and script editors and directors, and it's always collaborative. But I would like to have something that, for good or bad, is mine, and I've done that. So hopefully that's the next step. But I like writing, collaboratively. I don't resent it. I enjoy it. But you should have that drive to do something that is yours, that you've created yourself. So that's kind of the projects I'm doing at the moment are, if they get anywhere, will be kind of things that are very much me. So that'd be nice. That'd be nice to do. How there's a shifting popularity from films, television impact on a writer. I mean, there isn't much of a British film industry anyway. To be honest, it's mostly American money making things over here. So it's harder to make a living as a jobbing feature writer in this country. And I've been approached a few times, but either the projects weren't right for me, or they didn't think I was right for it. So I'm quite happy with TV. So I've got friends who are developing quite big Hollywood projects, which is exciting. But at any point they could be sacked essentially and just vanish from the whole process, and that's a few years of your life you won't get back. So which is kind of fun if you go in knowing that. I think it's fine. But that's kind of the process really. So I don't know. I mean, I haven't been offered any kind of massive Hollywood things anyway. So it's not a pressing issue at the moment. I just quite like TV, I think. It's also working on a TV show which goes out for you work in a film and it can often just out and it's gone that first weekend. That's years of your life gone. With telly, it stretches over a few weeks and you have more of a presence, and I think you just take up roots in people's minds more, and I think that's kind of nice. There's something quite sort of satisfying about that.
And you see more of a demand for TV now?
Yeah, there is more. Definitely more of a demand. They just need more content if you want to be industry about it. There's so many more internet channels now, and ITV have like ITV2 going, and BBC are cutting back. But people do need content all the time. So if you're a content creator, for want of a better word, then it's not a bad time. You can certainly get more out there, which is kind of fun. people I look up to within the industry, Victoria Pyle, to give her full royal title, who I've worked with from the beginning already. She's just fantastic and very dedicated to making just good, intelligent comedy, and just battles broadcasters the whole time to get her own way. It's great. It's quite inspiring. Slightly terrifying. Armando Iannucci, I like a lot. I like his stuff a lot. And also kind of like he uses a lot of people from kids' telly as well. If he likes someone and thinks they're good, he will use them. He doesn't have any snobbishness at all. And he will tell anyone at a drop of a hat how great Malcolm in the Middle is, which is always nice to hear, because that was very, very good. So one of those people I've worked with, one I haven't, I guess Joss Whedon, obviously, because you have to say that. But I have to say that. He's great. I don't know. Graham Yost, who was the producer of Justified, he seems very cool. He also wrote the original script of Speed. I found it today, which is such a great script. Yeah, there's a lot of. I mean, I listened to Nerdist Writers podcast. That's very good, which is screenwriters just talking about the job essentially. There's some really interesting people out of that. Pendleton Ward, who came up with Adventure Time and Bravest Warriors, he seems like an interesting chap. So I don't know. I don't really hero worship any of those people. They just seem nice and they seem like they do a good job. But they are quite gently inspiring in their own way. But then most writers aren't inspiring in a I would follow you into the breach, my lord, sort of way. They just kind of quietly get on with stuff, and I think that's something I respect more than flashiness. That's always quite nice.
She's actually asleep at the moment, so she shouldn't be too much trouble. There's coffee, there's a juicer, there's taps, obviously hot and cold. I don't know why I've shown you that.
Okay.
Probably have them in Spain. There's the microwave, fridge, freezer. She does play with jars and.
This is the mighty scimitar of the Randalls, Goblins blade and despair.
And over there, obviously this phone. I've left the numbers there.
Have I had to compromise what I've written, I guess, is what you're asking. Yeah, I mean, it's constant compromise. You always have to compromise. You have to pick your battles. I mean, kids' television, you're always compromising because you have to run everything through compliance. So, you can't have characters running across wet cement stuff, or juggling chainsaws in Bob the Builder, which is probably fair enough. But there's kind of swearing issues as well. So you're constantly negotiating. If you have like the F word there, can you justify the C word a bit later on? I mean, Delivery Man, we're having all sorts of quite funny stuff because there's quite rude words being used in Delivery Man. But if it's in Latin and you're talking about a part of the body that medically is relevant to the show, that's more or less fair enough. So context is very important. And you're always the creative tension between you, the other writer, and the director, and ITV, and that's just how it goes. I think it's always compromise. But with Delivery Man, ITV have been fantastic. They've been very kind of willing to sort of compromise and let's have our way with most things. So you're never writing in a vacuum. You're always taking notes from development people or actors as well. Actors might have their own takes on lines and on characters and stuff, which is always valid, whether you agree or not. They always have the right to say, I don't particularly think the character would do this thing exactly this way. So you certainly have to take that into account. So yeah, it is constant compromise. But if it wasn't, you may as well, you have to go away and write a novel or something. And even then, you're compromising with an editor and a publisher. So there's always that level of working out how much to push your own ideas and how much to sort of fit in with people around you. And it's difficult, but sometimes that's where kind of the fun is as well. It's trying to negotiate someone else's boundaries and just kind of push what you want to do as well. Do I have a screenwriting bucket list by the time I retire? You keep asking me about dying and retiring, which is slightly unnerving. No, I did have a plan. When I started out, I had a plan, a 5-point plan, actually. This is from A-level times. Might even be before A-levels, which is one, write something, anything, like finish, like whether it was 2 pages of something, just some finished story. 2, get paid for writing something, which could be like winning a competition, getting 100 quid or something, which I think I would think of 100 quid on something. 3 was get something published, which was slightly harder then, because like meant like a magazine or get a short story pushed somewhere or radio play or something like that. 4 was making a living as a writer. I think 5 was make a lot of money as a writer, be very, very successful. So I've got as far as 4, which is at least I can just about pay the mortgage on writing. 5 is, who knows. So that was as far as I got, and I didn't really plan anything too specific, because I kind of like doing different things. I like just seeing because things just get thrown at you randomly. So no, I don't particularly want to write a film or anything. I just kind of want to do interesting things and work with interesting people. So there's no set thing that I think I'd like to get my own, something's my own out there. It'd be really nice to have like a little DVD shelf of stuff that I've actually done. That would be great. That's probably as far. I think I'm just sort of taking it as it comes. Really, seems to be the best way to do it. And just because you just never know what you're going to be offered, or which idea will suddenly kind of take root with a producer or a broadcaster or something. Oh, that one, because it can be ideas you've pushed around for kind of years and had in the back of your mind, and then suddenly it'll click with someone, and then you think, well, that thing, why did I think that was a good idea? I don't know. But it's always, if you liked it at some point, the chances are there's still the ingredients to make you sort of really go for it again. So so it's a slightly more organic thing than having some kind of bucket list, I guess. There's a few actors and people I'd like to work with, I guess. But then I think some of them I am about to be working with, if it all goes well, so I don't want to ruin it by saying who it is. Otherwise that would be the death of that. But yeah.